Morning.
Good morning.
Morning, President.
Morning. Morning, President Nancy.
Okay, well, since I am the star of the day, other than Ms. Estes, is that how you say your last name, Estes?
Yes.
I'm going to provide the inspiration, and I am saddened by the death of John Lewis. So I thought this little quote of his from a 2018 tweet would be appropriate today. You probably have seen it. Do not get lost in a sea of despair. Be hopeful, be optimistic. Our struggle is not the struggle of a day, a week, a month, or a year. It is the struggle of a lifetime. Never ever be afraid to make some noise and get in good trouble, necessary trouble. And I just feel that we are, we need a little bit of fun to get through this. It's I think we're wearing us all down. So with that in mind, I am going to share my screen for a moment because, as you all know, today is the first day of baseball. And
Nice.
have a little sing-along.
Nice.
Okay, everybody ready?
Ready?
Come on.
This could be interesting.
Here we go. Come on. No, it's not working, right?
No, I feel like Doug needs to lead us in song.
He will. Just give me a moment.
Good morning. My video keeps going away.
Hey, take me out with the crowd. Jack. I
Root.
What happened?
It's too early.
Root for the home team. If they don't win it, it's a shame. 1, 2, 3.
You're out at the old ball game.
All right.
And you thought
Duskie's
we were
never
bad
gonna want to
singers
join
and
Rotary after this.
You guys are a little bit scary.
Woo! Duskie, we haven't even had our coffee yet.
Okay, well, with that, Miss Colleen, would you please introduce our guests?
Yes. Well, I see Duskie's on here. Thank you for coming. Duskie is our speaker for today. And I don't know, there's one unidentified person on the cell phone, but I don't see any other guests.
Who is 4803860?
We've been hacked.
Yeah. It's a Russian spy. Let's just relax.
All right, we'll continue with our meeting then. So many years ago, when President Will was our president, I guess that's a redundancy, isn't it? P. Willie, as we referred to him, he would have the members up at our various tables, and we would introduce ourselves to each other, and we would say the name of, what our classification is. And basically, that is what we do for a living, or we used to do for a living before we entered retirement. And then they would pose a question to us. So I thought, well, today, start of baseball season, we would just answer a question. And I think many of you got my notes. Like, do you like baseball? What's your favorite team? If you're not into baseball, what is your favorite American pastime? Keep it clean. So other than that, Lance, do you have the list of everybody? That Lance was going to call on everybody one by one. So you can't stand up voluntarily
Hold on just one moment.
at the table.
Somebody's banging the hell out of their cereal bowl right now.
Yeah, if
That
you're
would
not
be me.
talking, how about mute it? There we go. All right. So how do we want to start this? Lance, do you want to?
Sure, yeah. Let me start calling on people. So Archie, I think, is first.
And you
Okay.
can keep it under like a half a minute or so, and just say what you've done for a living and something about baseball in your life.
Baseballs are hard, particularly when they hit you in the head.
What's your name?
Oh, I'm Archie Julian, and I used to be a salesman for a bank. I sold money.
And so all you have to say about it is baseballs are hard and they hit you in the head.
If they hit you in the head, they're very hard.
Okay.
You cannot argue with the truth of that statement.
Okay.
Colleen is next.
Yeah, she is. Good morning, fellow Rotarians and guests. Let's see, what was my question? Do you want to ask me a different one or the same one?
No, just whatever you want to say about if you love baseball, you hate. I mean, what does baseball mean to you? That's all.
So my mom and dad had tickets for baseball way back when the Giants were first starting. So I grew up in a household with Giants baseball. And when the stadium was being built, my mom and dad took my daughter and my nephew, who were very young, up on the train every month to see the progress of the stadium. So that's how tied in I am to the Giants. So they have fond memories of that, and I have memories of them seeing that and experiencing the joy of baseball. So there's that. Let's see. The Giants won both their preseason games, and I am currently working in the community services industry.
Thanks, Colleen.
Thank you. Go Giants!
Fred Walter.
Okay, so Fred Walter, lawyer, and I am a Giants fan, a convert from an LA Dodgers fan. As a kid, I was at one of the very first games the LA Dodgers played in the Coliseum. And my favorite player of the day, of course, was Duke Snider.
I resemble that remark.
Andy Escobar.
Good morning. Excuse me, Andy Escobar. I've been in the insurance business for 33 years, and I'm not currently a big baseball fan, but I do have fond memories of the Big Red Machine, the Cincinnati Reds, sweeping the Dodgers and then the Yankees in the 1976 World Series. Sorry, President Nancy.
Okay.
Dr. Doug.
Shakalaka.
Who's next?
Dr. Doug.
Okay, I'm a retired health educator. I have watched the Giants since I came to California in 1961. Took a day off from school to go down and see Juan Marichal and Warren Spahn go at it in one game, which was very exciting. Was there when Jim Ray Hart broke into the majors with first time at bat with a home run. And my highlight in baseball was the Rotary trip 2 or 3 years ago when Tim Lincecum threw a no-hitter. A great game, very, very energetic to be with that tension in the crowd.
That was 2014.
2014, a few years ago, yes. And I second Archie's contention that baseball's hurt when you eat them. I played baseball when I was very little and ate a grounder. and did get back in it till I was in my mid-30s. I played both fast pitch and slow pitch softball for several years.
Excellent. Ed McCutcheon.
Okay. I'm an attorney doing business, agricultural, and real estate concerns, and have an interest in side road farm and a hosted vacation rental. Baseball to me, I played baseball as a kid, high school, college at Cal Davis, semi-pro. Pittsburgh and Philadelphia offered me contracts, but I elected to go to law school. And favorite team is the Giants. Speaking of Giants, I represented in the Bay Area Hank Sauer, the former 52 MVP for Chicago Cubs. And it was a lot of fun with him. And baseball really teaches life skills. You know, social interaction between people on the team contributes to win the game. And that's the good part about baseball for me. Thank you.
What position did you play, Ed?
Oh, right field was my primary one, but then I pitched, and I was also played third base.
Wow. See what we find out about people in our little quizzes here? Thank you.
All right, next is Larry Orr.
Good morning. I'm Larry Orr. Let's see, I spent about 35 years in the high technology computer industry. First licensed in real estate in 1980, currently still working as a real estate broker. I played recreational baseball on occasion. My favorite position is second base because it's closer to first and maybe I can throw a ball that far. Growing up in North Carolina, third or fourth grade or so forth, my favorite team was the Yankees because it was the only team I could hear on the radio. I've never liked the Dodgers and still don't, going back all the way to the Yankee-Dodger rivalry of a few years ago. My favorite moment probably is watching Reggie Jackson hit 3 home runs in one game.
Thanks, Larry.
All right, who is 707-480-3860 on the phone?
It is muted.
And they're muted. All right, we'll skip over them. Carl.
Let me unmute. So I'm Carl. I'm retired. I did financial software consulting for enough years. Baseball would be, my moment would be, I grew up in Pittsburgh in a tree in right field watching Roberto Clemente play.
In the tree?
Yeah, because it was outside the stadium. And then after the second inning, the ushers would let us in the bleachers. There wasn't a big crowd. They used to play a lot of day games back then. That was a lovely thing for kids in the summertime. So we would watch Roberto Clemente play every time there was a day game. Favorite baseball moment, it was the radio announcer in Philadelphia once said about Gary Maddox, who played for San Francisco, but a lot of time with Philadelphia. He was a fast outfielder. He said 2/3 of the world was covered by water and the other third by Gary Maddox.
Excellent. All right, I see the mystery phone number is unmuted.
The mystery phone number belongs to the person that initiated these dumb quizzes way back when. So President Nancy, much fun getting the Cracker Jack delivery and the questions. So Will Seppi here concerning my career. As many of you know, I'm at the family business these days, Costo. In addition to that, figuring out what to do with some kids in the coming weeks and a few other challenges. But let me not digress off baseball. I so happen to have played softball in the accounting league, which is mainly just showing up once or twice a week to drink some beer with some other guys and have some fun. I also happen to have a complete unopened baseball set, Donruss baseball set of 1989 cards, trading cards, of which the top cards I can tell you on the set, because you can see into it, consist of Oral Hershiser, Bo Jackson, Kevin Mitchell, Jose Canseco, and let's see who else is in here. Don Mattingly. So there you go. And lastly, when it comes to watching baseball, I could tell you that if it weren't for the cold beer and hot dogs and great company, it would be a complete waste of 4 hours of your day.
That's the whole point.
Harsh words there, Will. Harsh.
All right.
I'm going
Chris
back.
Hall.
I'm going back on mute. Bye.
Chris Call.
Hi, everyone. My profession is CEO of North Bay Credit Union. I've been here for the last 6 years. Played Little League, and my team in Little League was always called the Dodgers. But since moving to the Bay Area 30 years ago, I've become a big Giants fan, and have always had fond memories of the Giants trifecta championship in 10, 12, and 14. These days, I'm more interested in tennis, and if I had to choose between a baseball game and a tennis match, I'd probably go with the tennis match.
Thanks, Chris.
Dan.
Okay, I'm Dan Erickson, retired financial advisor. And I have several favorite baseball teams. In pros, I like the A's. And I also like the Giants, so I don't have any problem rooting for a National League team and an American League team. And when they meet, my heart goes to the A's, and I want them to win. Anyway, my favorite baseball moment was listening to watching on the internet a college baseball game that my son was playing in North Carolina. And he led off the inning with a home run, and his second at-bat in the inning was another home run. So 2 home runs in 1 inning in a college baseball game.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh, and baseball is a dumb, boring game. Best consumed live, but I love it.
What is wrong with you people? That's un-American. God.
Game of inches.
Diane Booker.
You have to unmute
You're
yourself.
muted, Lovey. Uh-oh. She's getting serious now. She picked up the computer.
I did.
There you
I'm
are.
I'm on my phone, and I'm with my friend Cherie. So I have a guest today, because she really wants to hear Duskie. So baseball, yeah, sure. Giants fan for sure. Was it Game 3, the sequel of the '89 World Series? That was fun. And I generally go to opening day every season, take the boat over. That's kind of like Will Seppi. I love watching baseball, but it's a pretty social thing for me. So that's it. Not much to say. But thanks for the Cracker Jacks, Nancy. That was fun.
You're welcome. What is your profession, young lady?
Oh, sorry. Winery owner. And someday it will be profitable. I'm convinced.
No, never. I've looked at enough winery balance sheets. You're right in there.
All right, we have another iPhone. It shows up here as iPhone-S.
I think that's Sean Shields.
Is that Sean?
It's Sean Shields. See the top of his head right there in the corner? There he is.
All right, so Sean.
John, are you going to talk to us?
He's our tech guy.
Here, I'm going to pretend I'm Sean Shields.
Hello, everybody. I'm Sean Shields. I work in computers. Oh.
While we wait for Sean, Jack.
Yes, I'm Jack Allison, and I'm a retired general contractor, and now I'm a property manager. And my favorite memory of baseball was going into the Giants dugout when I was a kid, meeting all the players except for Willie Mays because he stayed out on the field the whole time. And I never played much baseball, just a few times, and but I played a lot of softball. I've been on many softball teams. Matter of fact, I was on a AA softball team for a while. And that's about it. And my favorite team is the Prune Packers.
You said the Brooklyn Dodgers, right?
The Prune Packers.
Oh, okay.
If you sit with Jack and his brother in the Prune Packers in the bleachers, you might get a beer. He sneaks in beer. So.
Well, they sell it now.
Oh, they do?
Yes.
Nobody's there.
Did we mention that Dusky is the owner of the Prune Packers, so maybe we shouldn't talk about that.
Okay, Sean, I think you're unmuted now. Do you want to say something?
Okay, we got to keep moving along here.
All right. Jay Beckwith.
My most memorable experience with baseball was at the age of 5. It was the first time I ever stood at the plate and held a bat. I was playing at the church picnic, and they let me get a hit. So I ran like crazy to first base and around at first base to go to second. And I knew I wouldn't make it, so I went back to first, and they tagged me out because I went the wrong direction. And I realized from that's how life is. If you don't know the rules of the game, you can't play. And I figured anybody who would do that to a kid and not explain the rules was pretty terrible. And that started me on my 5-decade career of making play systems for children, where there aren't any rules. Thank you very much.
Larry Mills.
Unmute.
Sorry. I'm Larry Mills, everyone. Good morning. I'm a mediator and arbitrator. And I was a big baseball fan in my youth, and I relate to Carl's experience. In my youth, I lived in West Virginia and listened to the Pittsburgh Pirates on the radio. And my one huge memory from that time was the 1960 World Series when Bill Mazeroski hit a home run, walk-off home run in the bottom of the 9th inning to beat the Yankees in the World Series. And that was huge in the Pittsburgh area. And that still sticks with me. Am I a baseball fan? Not much. I like NBA basketball. I'm a Steph Curry, Klay Thompson guy. Yeah, and baseball is just too slow for me. I like.
I swear to Jesus, please.
Yeah, there you go.
Leanna Dole.
Did Leanna leave us?
Oh, maybe she did. I'm going through
Yeah, I don't see her on the call.
Okay.
Tom.
Evendale?
Yep.
Yeah, sorry, walked in right now. So, Tom Evendale, I do mergers and acquisitions and integration, both operational due diligence and post-integration. Favorite team is the Giants.
All right.
Let's see, I'll jump in. Lance Cottrell. I used to build internet stealth technology for the national security community, and now I advise and support founders of early stage companies as they're trying to grow their startups. My experience with baseball really was my parents put me in Little League as a child, I think with the hope of making me more normal and fit into society. This was not successful. I am not a baseball fan, and I think the only sporting event I have ever gone out of my way to attend was I went to the Olympic fencing event in the 84 Olympics in Los Angeles, which was a lot of fun and very fast. But I fenced in high school and college, so that was my one primary sporting activity.
All right.
Nancy.
Did we talk to Bob Mosby?
No.
Bob was not on when I pulled this.
Bob's here.
Yeah, because I'm supposed to do the craft talk, and I'll just weave in baseball.
Okay.
Bob? Is Bob going to talk about baseball?
Oh, I'm happy to. We're talking about what our profession is. I'm a psychologist and the president of Psych Strategies, which is the largest privately owned mental health group north of San Francisco. And I think we're talking about our favorite baseball moments. I'm going to date myself here. My favorite baseball moment was watching Mickey Mantle hit 57 home runs in 1957. I think it was. I'm not sure about the year, but I think it was 1957. And I did play baseball in the 7th grade. I played first base. And I was mostly terrible at it, and I was a terrible hitter, and that was the start and finish of my baseball career.
Did we miss anyone else?
Sean.
Oh yeah, Sean. Well, we tried to get Sean.
Sean, unmute yourself.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So I had to reboot my my iPhone. But anyway, when I was a kid, I lived in Chicago, and the team that was my favorite was the Chicago Cubs. So that tells you where that all is. And I played baseball in high school, Little League, industrial. Anyway, I've had a full line of baseball, and this was fun.
Thanks, Sean.
Are we missing anyone else? Dusky, I know you're being introduced later, but do you want to say anything? Do you have anything to add?
I'm Dusky, and obviously I'll be introduced later. Not much of a baseball fan, I'm sorry to say, because of 30 years in the restaurant industry. Not a lot of free time on when normal people would be involved with sports. The sports that I love are the ones that my kids do. So I have a basketball player, runner, and swimmer. And so those are the things that I like to pay attention to, because obviously I'm proud of them. And my only sort of baseball reference is that we make a product that I wish I had known this was about baseball, because I would have gotten it all to you this morning to chomp on. But we make a bacon caramel popcorn called Rodeo Jacks, because we raise pigs and make bacon on my family business, in addition to what I'm going to talk to you about later. So we make this incredible salty, sweet riff on Cracker Jacks. But it has bacon in it.
I think I just drooled a little, Dusty. I have to wipe it off my face.
Yeah. Get some of that for a future meeting. That sounds amazing.
Oh, my Lord Jesus.
All right, Nancy, I think that's everyone.
Okay, thanks everybody. We'll do this again with a different theme. So I think I'm supposed to do a craft talk today, but because we're a little running short, we're running short on time, I'm going to put it off until August, if you all can handle that. Because I did have a lot of baseball references. I'll just bring another time. Lance was going to give us a brief recap of his year and the accomplishments under past president Lance.
Yeah, so I think it can kind of feel like we didn't get a lot done last year. Certainly it was a disrupted year between power outages and the Kincaid fire and then COVID. We probably had fewer meetings and certainly fewer in-person meetings than any previous year, but still we did get a fair amount done. Of course, we started off my term with the 4th of July event, largely organized under Colleen's year, but done in mine. And then of course we ended the year with 2 different pivots to get our drive-through Rotary 4th out the door to start off Nancy's year. We had the Joe Esquivel tournament, which was very successful and raised a lot of money for our scholarships. We did the Veterans Day breakfast. We managed the Interact program for the high school students. We put on a virtual teacher appreciation award breakfast, which was very successful. We were all ready to do the Choices program, and literally the school shut down the week we were supposed to do the Choices program. But we now actually have 2 years of that prepaid and all of the equipment. So we are set. I think the plan is to actually just do it twice in the new year, so we catch 7th and 8th graders, so we don't miss those years. We did a district grant this year with Windsor and the Noon Club and Cloverdale, and with one person from Windsor who tossed in a matching amount as well. So we gave $2,400 to Reach for Home. And as a district grant, that was also matched with another $2,400 from the district. We did an additional one-time grant of $500 to Reach for Home because the district distributed that because they weren't putting on events and they didn't need those funds. This was also year 2 of our international grant. So under Colleen's year, we started a program to purchase medical equipment for a hospital in Brazil in a very poor part of the country. And so they've been continuing to build that out, and that seems to have been a very successful program. And then once COVID started, we decided to put a lot of money towards feeding the hungry. And so between the Custo Needs program and supporting the bread donations and direct contributions to the food pantry, we contributed $7,440. So we fed a lot of people in the last couple of months.
That's going to be a tough one to top this year. We're going to have to get out and use our hands, guys. Thank you very much, Lance. I just have a few announcements. Andy, you've got a bike tour meeting this afternoon, right? I mean, Joe Esquivel golf tournament.
Yes, it is scheduled for 5 o'clock.
Okay. And then I have a golf tournament, a bike tour meeting at 4:30, so we have to do a little time shuffling because a few people overlap with that. So Andy, you and I can work out those details.
Okay.
I hope you all got the letter from the food pantry thanking us for our donation for the last quarter. Our fees went to that program. It was about $1,300 we gave them. I just wanted to mention to everyone that George Dutton's wife is in hospice care right now, and if anyone wants to reach out to him, probably via a card or an email, he's staying close with Karen right now. So I just wanted to let everybody know that, and I will keep you informed if anything changes. Andy, as the youth director of the youth services for this year, he and Chris Cameron are going to be looking for a person to be the inbound Rotary Youth Exchange counselor. And this is a really wonderful job. It's kind of being the parent, go-to person for exchange students when they're here. You don't necessarily have to house them, but you are their person. If anybody thinks that would be a nice thing to do this coming year when we start this program again, please let Andy or me know that. A reminder that the Sebastopol Sunrise Scarfed in July 30th. occupied at 5:30. The topic is going to be fundraising in the time of COVID. So this could be a very useful program to tap into. Other clubs are doing it. Can somebody put their mute on if you're shuffling stuff around, because it's kind of.
I'll start muting everyone who's not you and Dusty.
Okay, one last thing here. The club is dark next week. We have a board meeting, so July 29th, dark. Back at it on August 5. Okay.
Nancy, can I just do one quick announcement?
Yeah. Anybody else have announcements? Go for it.
Can you hear that? Guess what today is, everybody? It's Andy Eskimill's birthday. Yeah, it is. So let's all sing Andy a happy birthday song. Stevie Wonder, take it away. I would sing, but I don't want to scare Andy. Happy birthday, Andy Eskimo. Woo! Okay, now you can go back to your meeting. Thank you.
I want to mention that, speaking of recognitions, there was a donation made to the food pantry on behalf of Booker Farms, Booker Dairy, for a pile of cow poop. Fabulous cow poop. My garden is so happy. So $100 donation was made from a couple of us to the food pantry, thanking Booker Dairy. Okay. Let's see. I was going to do my craft talk today, but it's 7:41, and I think Miss Duskie Estes has been so patient listening to all of our ridiculous stuff that I'm going to turn this over to Edward to introduce Duskie, and we can enjoy you for the next half hour.
There. With pleasure, we welcome Duskie Estes. She's in charge of the food pantry in town, but she has 30 years of experience in the restaurant business. And she was, I believe, she can clear it up, but she was on several competitions on the Next Iron Chef, on the Food Channel, and she has appeared at times with Guy Fieri, who is in Windsor. I think he moved to Napa as a judge on his grocery games. She has several restaurants with her husband, focusing on pigs. And she had Zazu and other ones. And she's very good in the community, and she was very, very nice and jumped on the invite to speak. I mean, she was one of the few people that when I sent an email, she was like right on it. When can I do it? You know, Nancy knows we've had some difficulties getting people, but with pleasure, I would like to have Duskie speak now.
Thank you very much. So I've never been to a Rotary meeting before, although my husband's father, who is no longer with us, he passed last year, but he spent a lifetime going to Rotary in Mount Kisco, New York. So it's an honor to be with you all today. The organization that I currently am the executive director for is called Farm to Pantry. It started in 2008 in Healdsburg. I jumped on in the middle of April, so in the middle of the pandemic, or in the beginnings of the pandemic. I am a chef. I used to have Bovolo in the town of Healdsburg, and now have Black Pig Meat Co. that makes bacon that you can buy at Big John's, and a food truck at Davis Family Vineyards called the Black Piglet, where you can get the best BLT you ever had, Friday through Sunday on weekends at Davis Family, which is kind of near Wicked Slush on the Healdsburg side of the bridge. But so every time there's been a disaster in our community, which I hate to say we've had our fair share, including a flood, actually, that is the reason we lost our restaurant in the Barlow. We had Zazu in the Barlow, and we lost it in the end of February of 19 because of the flood. So every time there's been a disaster in our county, my husband and I have sought, like everybody I feel like in Sonoma County has, is how could we jump in and give back? And so as chefs, obviously that was easy to do during the fires, because we just had to start cooking for the firefighters and the evacuees and welcome people to come to the restaurant for free who had lost everything. So that is how we handled the first fire. And we actually cooked a lot with Guy Fieri, who also always jumps in to give back to first responders and people in need. He actually, just to correct your story, he has not moved to Napa. He's still in Sonoma County. He just, he moved from his Santa Rosa residence actually to Healdsburg. He lives in the Chalk Hill region. So, and I've been on, Next Iron Chef 2 different seasons, and I'm a sometimes guest judge on Guy's Grocery Games now. But so we always jumped in to feed people, but during the pandemic, I didn't want to be in a kitchen because that scared me. I have an 82-year-old mother that I have to deliver food to, and I didn't want to bring her this COVID disease. And so I didn't want to be in a kitchen full of people working. And so I started volunteering for Farm to Pantry, which basically 6 days a week, we send 2 to 4 teams out to farms in Sonoma County. And our volunteers glean for 3 hours, generally from around 9 to noon or noon 30. So we harvest things from farms that would otherwise go wasted. So, and we work a lot in Healdsburg, but also now all over Sonoma County. My effort since the middle of April has been to increase the touch, both in farms and recipients, to all of Sonoma County. So we're as far south and east, or south as Pengrove, as far east as Oakmont, and as far west as Valley Ford so far, and as far north as Cloverdale. And we have upped the number of gleans, the number of volunteers. We're now at close to 200 volunteers. And we have also thereby increased the number of pounds that we glean every week. And every pound we say converts to 4 servings of fruits or vegetables. So we are now averaging about 4,000 pounds a week. So we are ideally touching around 15,000 servings of fruits and vegetables that we're delivering to about 80 agencies. Obviously, fruits and vegetables at this time have the biggest immunity boosting punch to help people fight this disease. So I've been thrilled with the amount of volunteer interest and the amount of impact. And I don't know really how the Rotaries interact with each other, but the noon Healdsburg Rotary has supported for years the expenses of the van that we have. We have 1 van, and otherwise we use people's personal cars. And so the noon Rotary has always supported the gas and maintenance for the van, which has been incredible. And I'm trying to think what else. I'll tell you a great story about a peach. Because I ran high-end restaurants where only the lucky got to come and get pasture-raised meats and produce that we purchase direct from over 200 farms. I very much enjoyed my career in the restaurant industry. It was very much my passion to maintain diversity of agriculture in Sonoma County and support small farmers and ranchers that were raising their animals on pasture. But it was very, you know, a lucky few that got to afford our restaurant. And so now I've been going, one of the farms we go to is called Home Ranch, and it's the farm that Doug and Cindy Lipton, who used to have Shed, own in Healdsburg off of West Dry Creek Road. And he has an incredible peach orchard. I mean, well, it's a fruit tree orchard with more than peaches, but of course right now the peaches are on my mind. And so about 2 weeks ago, we went over there to harvest peaches, and when I'm done with this meeting, I'm going over there to harvest more peaches this morning. But we went over there to harvest peaches, and I had just opened up a connection in Santa Rosa, because we're trying to increase our touch south, with one of the Catholic Charities sites, which is at the Finley Aquatic Center on Stony Point and College. And it's where some of the tents that were on the Joe Rodota Trail got moved. So there's a tent village of about 40 homeless people that live on the east side of the Aquatics Swim Center. And we can deliver fruit there. Obviously, fruit is fabulous for homeless. And we too deliver to the groups that you all support. We deliver fruit to Reach for Home up in Healdsburg, and to the food pantry that you all have been supporting. But so I took this box of peaches to the gates of the tent village in Santa Rosa, and I handed it to the security guard. And I said, can you find out if they want a second box or if one is enough? Because our whole mission is making sure there's no waste. So getting it to places where it would be used and not wasted. And so he took the box back to the folks behind the fence, and I couldn't see their faces, but I could hear 10 different voices behind the fence. And these were the kind of peaches that you would pay probably $6 each for in a farmer's market. They were huge. Doug called them nectar peaches, but they were, you know, huge white peaches with this luscious, aromatic, floral, like the best peach I've ever eaten in my life. And I've eaten plenty of peach. And so I delivered this box of these incredible peaches. And I asked the security, can you tell me if they'd be able to polish off, you know, another box in the next 2 days before it would go south? And so I hear the voices over the fence. Lady, those are the best peaches ever. Oh my goodness, they're so delicious. And I have to tell you, it felt like a little bit of food justice of getting these incredible peaches that were only for the lucky few, getting access to these to everybody at whatever their struggle was. And I get to feel like Robin Hood every day. The work of Farm to Pantry is to connect, obviously, abundance to need and farm to fork. And I've been able to use all my connections with all the farmers that I worked with for all the years and bring them in at this time when in the pandemic, it became very clear that our food system broke very fast. All the distribution models, particularly in Sonoma County, that were tied to farm-to-table restaurants. Obviously, the tech campuses closed, the farm-to-table restaurants closed, the ballpark closed. Sadly, I think you're going to be able to watch your sports again, but we still can't gather. And so all the farms that were directly tied to those kind of locations for sourcing immediately lost their buyer, and it wasn't worthwhile to harvest because it costs money to pay somebody to go out there to do it. And so we really had to shift into high gear and be there to make up the difference. My concern looking forward is that this is not a short-term problem. Obviously, we had hoped it would be over. And when we look at the economic crisis will outlast the health crisis, which is going on. And so economic insecurity and food insecurity will be a lasting impact more than 2 years. I mean, it may be the whole next decade. And so in the shift to like up the ante, we now have to shift to try to figure out how we can sustain this level for a very long time. And obviously we have some concerns that farmers will stop planting because it's not worth it to them to plant. And so we've started these grow a row programs to trying to get everyone who's putting in an outdoor, a backyard garden to add a row for giving it to someone else. And Prickett's Nursery actually in Healdsburg joined in with us and got us a bunch of starts that we were able to get to people. Hafner Vineyards put in a whole garden that I'm going to harvest for the first time on Saturday to help people in need. So a lot of people have jumped in on that grow a row. I'm just shouting out some examples of businesses you know in Healdsburg so you could support them. But I feel like that's probably enough said, but I'd love to answer any questions, and I appreciate your time to let me talk about it. The only other thing I'd love to say is if you all want to get involved with Farm to Pantry's work, the way you do it is you go to our website, farmtopantry.org, and we have 3 buttons on the home page that you can select from. One says Glean, and that means you want to come volunteer with us for 3 hours on a morning, and if you choose to, you can stay involved and drive things around if you want to see where it goes, or you can stop after the picking. Another says Give, which is obviously a financial support of us, and it shows you what different levels and amounts will do for us. And Glean, Grow, Give. Grow is if you have something in your backyard that you want us to come harvest or you want us to come pick up. If you can't do the work, we'll send folks there to do the work. But if you want to do the work, we can also just come get it. So I'd love to open it up to questions.
Everybody, ask Miss Duskie questions.
And I went through and muted everyone, so you're all muted again.
I have a quick question. Where can we get the Cracker Jacks bacon stuff that you were talking about earlier? Where can we buy that?
You can get it on our website, which is blackpigmeatco.com, and you can ship it to all your friends.
All right.
A number of the winery tasting rooms carry it, but of course, with COVID, I don't know who's open and who's not, but Preston carried it, Dry Creek Vineyards carried it. You can also get it at our food truck Friday through Sunday at Davis Family Vineyards. We're there from 11:30 to 4. And tomorrow night, we're actually gonna be at Paradise Ridge. They're doing wine and sunsets this Wednesday night with social distancing. And so we will be there from 5 until the sun goes down, which I think is probably 8:30-ish.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Oh, no, I take that back. It's tonight. Paradise Ridge is tonight. Sorry, I'm behind. I have a busy day.
I have a question.
Yes.
How large are your gleaning teams and what sort of precautions do you take to prevent them from either catching or spreading the virus?
I so appreciate that question because it's obviously critical to all of us and all the things that we do. So with COVID, we had to add a whole bunch of protocol that involves sanitizing all of our gear after every glean. So If we're using clippers, those get sanitized. If we're using gloves, those get washed. If we are using these IKEA blue bags to harvest into, those get sanitized every night. We start every glean with every volunteer sanitizing. Everybody drives in their own cars. Everybody wears masks unless we are 6 feet apart from each other, depending on the size of the location. We go with much smaller teams than we used to. We used to allow everybody to just join in. And now we're going with teams. We always go with at least 2 people because we never would send somebody on their own somewhere. But we go with from teams of 2 to 10. The 10 size team is for a very large location. For example, in the month of May, we gleaned twice a week a orchard of 12,000 Meyer lemon trees. And so we would twice a week get 1,500 pounds of Meyer lemons that we would take to Redwood Empire Food Bank for their distribution to the 3 counties. But that was the only time we went in teams of 10 because it was a very large property. But basically we're doing more gleans with smaller groups and we're sanitizing over the top. And we tell everyone to keep sanitizing throughout the day. If you touch your face, you have to go sanitize again. So.
Thank you.
You betcha.
I've got a question. How are you harvesting your pigs these days?
Oh, I love that question because I'm actually on a sidebar. I've been working on bringing a mobile slaughter unit, which I know is not a sexy thing, to Sonoma County. Some of you may know or may not know about what's been happening for our ranchers in our county. Because we purchased all our meat direct from local rancher, I was very much in contact with all of them in the last year of Zazu. I saw the loss of many of our ranchers. I lost access to our local lamb. Lou Preston was our local lamb. I lost access to our local goat, ranch called Sonoma Hills. And we were starting to lose access to our rabbit from Mark Pasternak. And the reason that all these ranchers are ceasing to exist is because of meat processing regulation. Marin Sun made a decision in December of 19 that they were no longer going to do custom slaughter. So now all of the ranchers that decided to continue, many dropped out at that point. The ones that decided to continue are now driving 5 to 6 hour drives to take their animals. And there's also no cut and wrap facility access after the slaughter. So a group of 80 ranchers got together in January, and a group of about 6 of us came together to do research and make a business plan for a mobile slaughter unit, which is now complete. We are forming a co-op as we speak, just been signing all the legal documents this week. And we are going to bring a mobile slaughter unit to Sonoma and Marin County. And we are also looking at buying a property to put it at where we could do cut and wrap. So we're very invested in the solution of when also the pandemic shone a light on the importance of local meat. 80% of the meat in our country is processed in the middle of the country in those big facilities, which have shut down because of COVID. There will be a meat shortage. I would highly suggest you guys support all your local ranchers. You can buy direct. A lot of them sell at the farmers markets or ship, and ship direct to your door. So it's really important that we have a local food system because that is our food security. And we can grow everything in Sonoma County. We live in a lucky place. So we just got to make it so.
Can I just jump in there? Dusky, I used to be married to Bruce Campbell from CK Lamb.
Oh, of course. But
And
he
we-
was our lamb source before Lou Preston. Thank
Well,
you.
One of the things that I had done was I developed a business plan for a slaughterhouse along with Jim Reichart of Liberty Duck. And this was like in the late 90s, but of course nobody wanted a slaughterhouse in their backyard, even though the zoning is multi-use ag. Anyway, so if you want to look at the business plan, I'd be happy to share it. I would love to get more involved in this because I'm a big proponent of locally raised grass-fed meat. And if our business had continued, and one of the reasons why it didn't was because the slaughterhouse was such a problem.
Yep. Well, after Nancy, email me. Do you have my email? I'll get you involved.
Okay, I would love that. It was going to be my goal to continue helping people understand where their meat came from. You know, that it's not just little styrofoam boxes at Safeway. So
we would love you involved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to hear what you're saying and all of this. Folks, do you have any other questions?
I have one more question. I'm imagining that you're still in touch with a lot of chefs and restaurant owners. Can you tell us how they're doing through the pandemic and just what you're hearing in terms of the state of the restaurant industry at this point?
Yes, Bob, I can talk to that because many of these chefs, as I said, chefs jump in and try to figure out how to help. So many of these chefs are working with Sonoma Family Meals, which is giving, so many of these chefs are cooking meals for somewhere between 400 and 1,000 people a week. And then giving it to Sonoma Family Meals. What Sonoma Family Meals does is give the chef $8 per person for 3 courses, which as we know is next to nothing. So Farm to Pantry is working with the restaurants and Sonoma Family Meals, and we are bringing some of the produce that we glean also to the chefs. If it's things that are not good in a grocery bag, if it takes a chef's hand to figure out how to use it. Like for example, Jackson Family Farms had something called Celtis, which many people would have no idea how to use, or kale might go wasted, but chefs can fold it into a dish for 1,000 people and it will taste delicious and people won't say, oh, I don't eat kale. So we have been working with the chefs very much, and obviously they are my posse and my team. And so I'm very worried, as you sound like you are, about all of our restaurants. I do, and I'm also, I do a lot of work for the Beard Foundation talking about food policy and change. And they, on a national level, have been having all these meetings with chefs to talk about what the solutions might be. But you know, the figures are saying that at least 50%, and I think it will be higher than that, of restaurants will not make it. All the chefs that we've been working with, that I've been talking to, are saying their landlords are not offering any assistance, other than some very few landlords are saying, you can pay us later. That is not a fix, because they can't pile up all that they owe. They can't afford it. Most restaurants are doing less than 25% of their business. So the only way restaurants will survive, in my opinion, is if landlords can somehow find a way to drop the rent to 25% for at least the next year to 2 years. And I don't know enough about what it is to be a landlord to know how the heck they could do that, because they too have mortgage payments. But everything is in a really, really rough state. I honestly think it's interesting. John and I were talking, because I'm sorry about my big dog. chefs became celebrities, and I obviously have reaped the benefit of that, of being on TV. But before, when John and I got involved over 30 years ago, it was a back of house thing to be a chef, and you were shy and you didn't really want to speak to a lot of people, which is how my husband is. But I'm the one who like pushed myself forward because that's what we needed to do to fill our restaurant. I think that it'll be interesting to see what happens, because so many restaurants will close again that I feel like the career of being a chef will be less desired, and it'll be only those that have to. If you can figure out a way to work in a different industry, you will. So.
Wow. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Sad though it is.
Yeah, I'm glad that the only sunny side to losing the restaurant in the flood is that I don't have one right now. We already lost everything, so now all my friends are joining the club. But and I didn't lose everything. Obviously, I have my awesome family and my farm and my, we still have the bacon and the trucks. So, but we did obviously lose a lot, and so. I certainly ask you to support your restaurants, get all the takeout you can.
Right.
There's a program that might be started at Healdsburg High in the culinary department to help kids who are into that put together food trucks and go out and maybe feed the homeless. And I'm going to look into our club supporting that. But what do you think about the future of the food truck at this stage? If the landlord take the cut on the real estate, what do you think?
I have to tell you, well, there's lots of articles actually about food trucks right now, because it's one of the safest ways to eat out, because you're outside and you can be apart from people. So of course I'm pro food truck. It does make me feel like I'm more in charge of my destiny, because, our issue after the flood was with our landlord. We could not come together to get help to reopen. So I do think food trucks are the way to go. And I have been talking with the chef instructor at Healdsburg High to try to work with him, not about food trucks, so that's interesting, but to work with his students somehow in the next year. But obviously none of us know what it looks like. So.
Well, I'll keep you in mind for that, because we're going to meet the superintendent here pretty soon to find out what's possible.
Please do.
Okay. Yeah. Any other questions? It's a very exciting topic, because we all have to eat, and more of it's kind of like that victory garden feeling I'm feeling these days. Our gardens are really important. It'd be interesting to know how, maybe in addition to what you've described with the gleaning and all of that, how we can continue to help make food available for people who can't afford it. And I know Edward has an idea about helping find land around here to devote to growing food, to allocate to people who can't afford to go to the store. I mean, it's kind of another way of distributing food, but I know
there's a community garden that we also work with in Santa Rosa in the Roseland district called Bayer Farm, Bayer, and it's run by an organization called Land Paths that tries to educate youth about preserving the land. They have created a community garden in the Roseland district with 70 families, and they feed kids lunch Monday through Friday. It's an amazing program that we just started interacting with in our move to support south of Healdsburg a little bit. So we deliver there several times a week as well, fruit for those kids and those families. But so community gardens are great, and Farm to Pantry has actually started working with the Master Gardeners program to get gatherings of community gardeners together and then have them do exchanges of their food, and then whatever's left over would go to a pantry or a food bank, and have farm to pantry sweep in and connect all those dots. So we are working on some of these same ideas that you're talking about, Nancy. It's access to land is important. We also work with Burbank Housing, which has 26 units, more than 26 units in Sonoma County of low income. And one of the units that we deliver to every Saturday near the ice skating rink that has 400 families, mostly undocumented, so they don't have access to unemployment. We were able to deliver some of the starts from Crickets, because they do have a community garden plot there, so that they could grow their own food at that unit. But so all of these things are, connecting all the dots is crazy important. And so obviously the work you guys are doing with supporting Reach for Home and supporting the food pantry is incredible. So thank you for being a part of the fix.
Well, thank you. It would be wonderful to get an org chart of the tentacles that go out,
Yeah, it's kind of, I feel like an octopus times, I don't know, times 20 at least. No, more than that. Yeah.
Well, we'll be in touch and we'll get more information on this. So appreciate the work you're doing and your delicious food. And I am going to go over to Davis Family and get some of your special Cracker Jack. That sounds
Yes.
amazing.
Thank you so much.
So Duskie, in honor of your presentation to us today, we're going to make a donation to Rotary International effort to eradicate polio. It's called Polio Plus, and we're very close to finishing, to ending it. It's just a few little countries that are so close. But anyway, we'll be donating that in your name, and we really thank you so much. Edward was asking me offline if our meetings are being recorded, and they are. So if anybody wants to review this or let someone know about Duskie's presentation, Lance is probably the person to help us figure out how to watch the recording. Is that right, Lance?
The recording of all the meetings are up on our YouTube channel within about 24 hours.
Okay. So with that, I mentioned earlier, our next meeting, July 29th, is dark in honor of our board meeting. If anybody would like to join our board meeting, you're welcome to do that. And then August 5th, Daryl Groom will be our guest speaker. He's the winemaker for the wine called Colby Red, which we'll learn more about that. I believe that was done to raise funds for a certain project near and dear to his heart. There are no other announcements, comments.
Just wanted to say thank you to Duskie for being a partner with us. Feeding the homeless is a completely different animal than just doing normal food distribution. So we really appreciate the partnership. And it really does mean a lot to be able to bring even oranges, apples, things. Ours also have to be soft, so it's a really even bigger challenge for us to feed people. So I just really appreciate your willingness to work with us. We know this is going to be an ongoing situation for us as we keep getting shelter in place. It's more challenging with the population we deal with to do that. So we do really appreciate your assistance and the food pantry too. You guys have been exceptional partners. So our clients, on behalf of them, who unfortunately can't always find the words to express their gratitude, but they do when we show up with the food. So I just wanted to say thank you to you and all of you listening. It's meant a lot. It's really meant them survive and be healthy during a time when you wouldn't think it would be possible, and to feel loved, which is the key. So thank you all, and thank you, Duskie, for being part of that.
All right, well, with that, this meeting is adjourned.